Good morning. Good morning. Awesome. It's so good to see all of y'all here this morning. So before I give an introduction and opening prayer, just like a bit of a housekeeping. So this is the first Sunday that we are beginning our worship in the gym. So when y'all finish your time in here, if you can make your way to the gym through the servery here, because these doors are going to be shut so that when people come up the stairs coming to worship, it kind of points them all in the right direction. So just to know, as you leave this space, exit this way and go through the servery. But it is a joy to introduce Chalmers and Steve Valentine. I got to know them really well. In April, we spent a week in Oxford, Mississippi together at Clean Water U, which is the training kind of camp for those that get involved in Living Waters for the World, which is the ministry we are a part of and that we engage in when we travel to Ghana and meet with our partners over there. So Chalmers and Steve have been a part of this ministry for a long time. I'm so excited they're going to get to share with y'all more information and thorough and detailed information about our ministry in Ghana. So let's open with prayer. Gracious God, when we think about water, we begin with the waters of creation. We make our way through the sea that was split, and we make our way to water being turned into wine, and we make our way to the flowing river at the end of Scripture. And then our own story joins these flowing waters, and we make our way to the waters of our baptism. God, thank you for the gift of this ministry, for the gift of each person that has been a part of it and will be a part of it. And be with Chalmers and Steve as they share this information this morning. Bless our time together as we learn, as we grow, and as we hear together what it means to have abundant life through living water. It's in the name of the true water that we offer this prayer, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Morning, everybody. We were told to use the microphone, so we're going to do the best we can, and then when there are other people there to speak, we'll try to either ask you to come up or get the microphone to you, but we said you got to use the microphone. So a couple of things. I'm going to kind of kick it off, and then Chalmers and I are going to tag team the information and then any questions and other things that this group wants to talk about. One of the things I'd like to say is Living Waters is one of the longest relationships. Living Waters for the World, the nonprofit that we're going to talk about, is one of the longest outreach relationships we've had at Idlewild. It's not the longest, but it's coming up on 20 years, right? And so I think that's important to know. The second thing is, and we're not going to get into it today because we're not the experts on the Bible. At least I'm not. She might say, but I'm not. But throughout the Bible, water is used throughout the Bible in analogies, in stories, and so forth. And it's not only important in the Scripture, but we're also going to talk about, we're going to give you some facts about how important it is in our lives and in the lives of everything that goes on in the world. Okay? The third thing is there are several people in this room that are not up here today, but they're here, that have been involved in Living Waters for a long time. I'm going to point out a couple of people. One is Michael Peeler and Melissa Peeler. Michael and Melissa have been involved in Living Waters for a long time through the Rotary Club. One of the longest partners with Living Waters in the world has been the Rotary Club, because the Rotary Club has it's a mission, right? It's a mission or that water, they're going to focus on everything with water. And so Michael and Melissa have done several trips to Guatemala, right? Honduras, right? I knew it was one of those guys. To Honduras to put in systems and do health and hygiene education. the grandfather and leader of Idlewild and Living Waters is in our presence today, and that's Jim Lavernier. Jim, you're going to hear from Jim off and on through this because he'll want to add some things in. There are always good stuff to hear. But Jim, you'll see if there's a slide, Jim and some others were the first ones to go to Ghana as part of the Living Waters mission back in 2006. Is that right? It's on the slide. And Jim still holds the Olympic record for Idlewild Church of numbers of times he's been to, anybody's been to Ghana. And Jim, that number is 13, right? 13. We're all, several of us are still trying to get in shape to see if we can break that record, but Jim right now clearly holds the record 13 times. And so, yeah, so you're going to hear some of this, and then we're going to leave quite a bit of time for any questions, comments related to what we talked about today. So I'm going to hand the microphone to Chalmers, and she's going to get us started.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm not going to read all these slides because you all can read and you know what's going on. You can read while I'm talking, but I'm here to talk about Living Waters for the World in general, overall. Living Waters started out as a synod, which is basically from the synod of the Presbyterian Church USA. So I think that's really important because that is how we got going. That's how we got going nationally, and Idlewild got introduced into it. Since then, this was in 1993. Since then, we have become our own 501c3. And the reason for that is just the ability to spread the word, the ability to go to other groups and be able to, and to be able to receive donations. You know, there are a lot of businesses and things out there that want to support something like what we do at Living Waters, and at the same time they can't make a donation because we were part of the Presbyterian Church. So in a way, it's really a great thing. We've grown and we've done exactly what our ministry is. Our ministry is a teach the teacher. We're not here to go back and do the same thing over and over and over again. The idea is that we teach the teacher so that, just like the Breck commercial, as I've said before, they'll tell two friends and then they'll tell two friends, and people learn about what it means to live and to have pure water. You know, every year, something like 3,000, 3,500 people die from waterborne illnesses. Most of those people are children, but it is worldwide, and it's awful. We're so blessed here, especially in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to think about when we turn on our tap to brush our teeth. We don't have to think about anything that we do. But there actually is a really big learning curve that goes on with, you know, using purified water. And when do we use it? And how do we use it? And we don't use it when we're bathing because we have the access usually, almost, a lot of people have the access to soap. We have the access to things, but ingestible things, when we eat, when we drink, when we cook, and when we're caring for baby. That's what our big song says. And so it's all about when do you use, if we put in a system, when do we use pure water, when do we not? Because there's not an unlimited access. So I think part of that is really the big message. It's simple, and our curriculum is very similar to a Vacation Bible School type curriculum. We teach on about the 3rd grade level because that means everyone can learn the message. It's not complicated. So here we go about the facts. Like I said, I'm not going to read off all the facts. You all can read the facts. But I think one thing that is very important is to think that you have to walk an average of 3.7 miles to get your water every day for your family. You know, you and I walk across the hall when we turn on the tap. That's huge. So just think about everything that ripples from that and how how that happens. So Living Waters is in now, we're in probably 200 countries, more than that.
Not that many, it's probably more like 60,
I
something.
thought we were more than that. Anyway, sorry, fun fact. But we're also have a ministry in the U.S. that we started as well. In Appalachia, there's a church in Nashville that finally said, you know, they were limited to going to their country of choice for some reason. And it could have been safety, it could have been other things. But then they decided, well, we can't go here right now. But we can still do something. And so they decided to go, I said, let's go in our backyard. So we're learning about that ministry because that is all mostly in homes or in small neighborhoods. When we're in other countries, we try to go, we're either in schools or churches or places where in the township or the village, everyone will have access. So I think that's something that's very important.
And there's over 100 in Appalachia, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So we do this teach the teacher program. We teach everyone so that they can know how to do it, and they will tell their families, and they'll tell the people in the community. And as we know, and as you know probably in your jobs, often the ministry hasn't changed. Our ministry of Living Waters for the World has not changed from the very beginning. Jesus Christ is living waters for our body and our soul. And the idea is to give purified water to anyone and everyone that we can. And we put in a system, and the system itself is a very simple system. It's very similar to a swimming pool filtration system that you might have here in the United States. The other thing is we got to teach the people. So there's an education component to that. How do we teach the people so that we know, like I said, we have a vacation Bible school type curriculum that teaches. And then we have the actual partnership agreement. We put in a system somewhere, we've got an agreement with our partner. In particular, Steve will talk about our relationship with Ghana, but it's with the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes on prior to even going into country because we have a relationship with them. They understand that they are responsible for updating, maintaining the system. What does that mean? They, in turn, also have a partner at the local location. So it's very intricate, even though it's very simple. And the deal is keeping everyone educated, keeping that message going. Like I said before, oftentimes in our jobs and things that we do, it's not the message that's changed, it's the people that change. They move, their jobs change, different things happen. So you have to keep on doing this. Any questions so far?
Chalmers. So, in Ghana, do they have access to whatever is needed to purify the water? Or
Well, everyone, I'll let Steve talk about Ghana, but everyone has to have access to water, to a water source.
Right.
And from there, you kind of adapt to what's needed. Okay, so in I am gonna let Steve talk to that because, and in different locations where we are, we have different access points. Okay, I think I talked to you. This is our basic message. When do we use clean water? When do we not? Cooking, drinking, brushing our teeth, caring for baby. When do we wash our hands instead? After the bathroom, touching, cooking, eating, a lot of that. We don't need pure water for that. Because the cooking, for example, sometimes we're boiling the water, the spices, different things. So eating, bathing, going to the bathroom, touching, cooking, all those things. You wash your hands. That's how we learn. That's where we wash our hands. The air drying and antibacterial soap and all those things most people have access to. And that's how that works. And that's our key thing. When do we use it? When do we not? Let's see, this is a picture of our system.
Can I speak right here real quick?
Sure.
I don't know that I have a picture down here. So as Chalmers said, it's the easiest way to understand it is, it's a swimming pool filtration system. that then treats the bacteria, kills the bacteria. So there's a water source that comes in from a tank. It's called a raw water tank. It comes through, just like the swimming pool system, it comes through multiple levels of filtration to get the particles out. Okay? Then, when it's done with that, it runs through a piece here that kills the bacteria. In Ghana, there's two ways living water's design works. You can use ultraviolet light, or you can use what's ozone, right? In this case, this is an ozonator. It puts ozone in the water, and after several passes, the ozone will kill the bacteria. Okay, it's just that simple. In Ghana, we can't get ozonators in Ghana. I'm going to talk more about what we can get. So we use ultraviolet light, right? Just as good. So it goes through, it kills the bacteria, and then we put it into another tank called the clean water tank. And then in this case, you see a bottle filling station here. When they're ready to put water in bottles, it comes back from the raw water tank and it goes into the bottles. And I'll talk more about that in terms of the way we handle that. So this is the best picture, and so I just wanted you to see. I just wanted you to see.
Okay.
So Steve, is the raw water, is that just from rain?
Chalmers mentioned it. So the Living Waters model says you can use a borehole well water, you can use rainwater, you can use a public utility water that's not safe, right? And you can use groundwater, like a lake or right. In Ghana, we've gotten very narrow. We don't use groundwater for sure, right? Because you can't control what goes into that groundwater. So our three sources are primarily it's either a well, what we call a borehole, or it's a public utility that has a water feed, but it's not consistently safe. Like it could be safe right now, but upstream, if they don't put whatever they need to put into it, which happens all the time. The guy's on vacation for 2 months, and they stop treating it, and now it's unsafe water. So it could be a public utility water. And then the third one is rainwater collection. We do, and in the past, have systems that use rainwater collection. The Ghanaians are very good at figuring out you only need like 4 feet of gutter to capture like 200 gallons of water. So those are the 3 water sources. It's primarily the first 2. The last thing I'll say about it is this: is that we are fortunate in Ghana. They've got great access to laboratories. So whatever the source is going to be, we actually have the water tested. It comes back, and then Living Waters has a very tight box as to if the tests say this, we can treat it. If it doesn't say this, we can't do anything about it. We're not really trying to solve every water problem. So the lab report helps us a lot, Ghana.
One thing I wanted to say, and I think Steve is going to address this, and Jim, you all may know this a lot better than I do. How did Idlewild get involved? Well, the obvious reason would be because of Will Howie and the relationship with the Presbyterian Church, and we were an offshoot. It was a ministry of the Synod of the Presbyterian Church. But also, I think our connection started, am I correct, with Dr. Freeman? And we partnered, or is that not correct?
When Idlewild started working with Living Waters for the World, we not only went to Ghana, but we went to Mexico. Pan Awesome had connections with Dr. Freeman, had been
Right.
going with him to Mexico to do an eye surgical mission. And from that, we started, Pan and Carl and several of us started working in Mexico. The connection with Ghana is really the Idlewild's, the reason Idlewild picked Ghana to start working with was Gail Walker. Reverend Gail Walker, her father was a missionary in Ghana, and she had love for Ghana. She traveled to Ghana when she was teaching establishing, taking seminary students to Ghana to tour. And she had a relationship with the Presbyterian Church of Ghana and with the Evangelical Presbyterian Church of Ghana. And so that's how we got
Right.
started and involved in it.
Right. I thought so. I just think it's interesting to know how the mission and the ministry has evolved. You know, because we're in so many countries, and it's so wonderful how you partner and how things change and advance. But it's all started because of one other, you know, again, the Breck commercial. We had a mission over here. We wanted to partner with another mission and sort of enhance that. And from there, we went to Mexico, and then from there, we partnered in Ghana, and we're still in Ghana. So we had to stop the Mexico mission for really because of the drug cartels. The drug cartels had gone into the particular area where we were, and they had blocked access to the water. They would, I don't know how, but they would block, and it became just, quite frankly, too dangerous to go to that area. So, unfortunately, we had to change that because in everything that Living Waters does, safety is critical. We would never try to take anyone anywhere that would be too dangerous. You know, we're always escorted where we go. Different important facts that I think, you know, we're not just by ourselves showing up. Also, where your partners are in terms of strength. We have a very strong, Steve will talk to it more, but the strength of the Presbyterian Church in Ghana is just unbelievable. It's really fascinating. Anyway, I digress, but just sort of where does Living Waters go? I think I told you we're in churches, we're in schools, clinics and hospitals, and, you know, other training facilities. It's really important to make sure that everyone has access to this as best we can. No one is turned away, and it's very important. And then these are just all the different countries we're in. And I don't think we've gone anywhere else country-wise.
No, there's a lot more.
There are a
This
lot
is just
more. I guess we went to Liberia, we've added some more.
India, yeah, other parts of Africa, other
Anyway,
parts of Central America.
right. Any more questions about Living Waters in general? Or you can continue to ask as we go.
Jim, did you want to say something? What?
Let me just talk a minute more about Mexico. Pam worked to establish partnerships in Mexico, and the part of the problem was that the Presbyterian Church in Mexico decided that the PCUSA was just a little too liberal for them to work with, so it became difficult for her to work with the Presbyterian Church in Mexico. Had we not had the support of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, we would not be where we are today.
That's a great lead-in, Jim. So so Chalmers has been talking about Living Waters, the nonprofit that started here 30-something years ago in the United States, and it's you know, one thing this slide doesn't do a good job of representing is how many systems Living Water has around the world. It's now 1,200, 1,300, right? And they get there by people like us, right? Like Jim and Michael, and just other people that look just like us from the United States, right? So over 1,300 systems since the early 90s. So Ghana, I should have asked, how many people know where Ghana is before I showed the map, right? Here it is, it's on the map. It's in West Africa, right? Ghana's history, you can go look it up on Wikipedia, it's pretty good, it's fairly accurate. You can see that over the centuries, the different groups that have been in Ghana, other than the native Ghanaians, but you know, the Dutch have been there, the English have been there, the Germans have been there, the Portuguese have been there, the Spanish have been there, everybody's been there during the, you know, the 1500s, all the time here in studying school around the colonization, right? So it's in West Africa. I think the most interesting fun fact of Ghana is that it is the Greenwich line runs right through Ghana, right? So if you happen to be in London and you happen to be in Greenwich and you happen to be standing on the line and you look directly south, there's Ghana, right? And so Jim and I have actually done the old in our travels in Ghana. When we get to the Greenwich line, we'll stop, get the camera out. I'm here, I'm here. So it's interesting. And then 00 longitude, latitude is just right off the coast of Ghana. This map shows primarily where all of the systems are. Accra is down here, that's where you fly into, and our systems are primarily in this box, but we're starting to move a little bit north, right? So a lot of the challenges we have in this area are because it's so close to the ocean. In terms of, remember the lab report I told you about? When we test the water, it could be too salty and we can't do anything about it or have other things in there. It's because of the proximity in the delta of where we are. For those of you who have been to developing countries before, don't believe this number. It's not 30 million. It's probably closer to 40 or 50 million. It's hard to take census counts in developing countries. So Accra is certainly more than 2.3 million people. If you ever go to Accra, just like if you go to Mexico City, it's a lot more people than what the census says. So, as we said before, we started in Ghana in 2006. The Living Waters model it's a partnership mission, right? Michael can tell you in Honduras, Michael and Melissa just don't get up and say, hey, let's go to Honduras and let's put a system in. This is a part of the model is you start this, identify a partner, Living Waters helps you do that. You start this back and forth of communication. It's very structured. There's documents that go back and forth. They're not complicated documents, they're more like forms that go back and forth to help start to establish the relationship and get you ready to go and work on the mission with your partner, right? We're fortunate, as Chalmers and Jim pointed out, is that because of Gail's previous relationship with the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, that is our main partner. And the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is like the PCUSA here. The main churches in Ghana are the Presbyterian Church, the Methodist Church, the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church, Church of Christ, I always forget one. And they're major organizations. They're not just churches, they're major organizations. In Ghana, the government does not directly deliver a lot of services. They don't directly deliver education all the time. They don't deliver things like agricultural help and so on and so forth like they do here in the States, right? What they do is they rely heavily on the churches in Ghana to do those services. Now then they'll pay them, right? They'll say, you got the buildings, you get the teachers, we'll fund it, right? And that's the way it works across the social services in Ghana, hospitals, clinics, and so forth. It sounds like a pretty neat model. It's very stressful, and as you can imagine, the churches are hanging out there a lot because they're expecting to be paid, and so they have to figure out how to do things with up and down resources. So our partner, Presbyterian Church of Ghana, very strong. They have verticals inside of the church that are focused on education, on health clinics and hospitals, and so forth. And so we mainly, actually, they're all like this. We're either in clinics or schools. That's our focus. Chalmers showed you that pie chart. It's like 18 things you could like target a system for. We only do 2: clinics and schools. The other thing I want to point out in Ghana is one of the reasons for those flags that you saw is Living Water says we can't be everything to everybody when it comes to countries. Like we can't support 60-something countries. So Living Water's developed a model called a network, where they can concentrate. There's about 17 or 18 networks right now. Ghana's a network. Honduras is a network. There's 2 networks in Mexico. Haiti's a network, so on and so forth. And what that means is this, is that then at that point, Living Waters for the World puts their money into the country. And this is probably a good time to say it. So we've done the math before, and for every dollar that over time that Idlewild puts in, Living Waters puts in $2 to $3, right? That's a pretty good model for us, right? We don't have to carry 100% of what it takes to, support and build the mission. So in Ghana, we have people, and you can see the roles there. These are designated people. They could be part-time or full-time. Our people there are part of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, and they're part-time people. They either do it out of love for the mission, or they're intricately involved because in their role in the church, water is part of their role, right? So in Ghana, these are all the systems that have been put in. Now you say, Steve, why are you showing us that there are systems that have been put in that Idlewild didn't do? And there's a couple of reasons why. Idlewild is up to 13 or 14 systems that we put in and trained. The other ones I've noted, 5 of them were installed by Advent Church in the early days, right? Jim walked alongside Advent when they were doing a system or 2 before Jim and Gail and the group did the very first one for Idlewild in 06. And then just recently, we've had a new group come in that did this center in Kumasi. This center is a I don't know what you call it, but it basically takes people off the street and protects them and teaches them a trade, and then allows them to go back into the community. And then in 2017, we didn't talk about it, but in 2017, we took a group of Living Waters experts over to Ghana to train the Ghanaians with the Presbyterian Church to be trainers, like educators, just like you would experience if you went to Clean Water U down outside of Oxford, right? So it's a certification and so forth. We had been bringing those people to the United States for a while, and it got tougher and tougher to bring them here. So we took the Living Waters people to Ghana. And so we did that. It was a week long. We trained the people and certified. Yeah, Jim?
There were 35 Ghanaians in that.
35 Ghanaians were trained in either the project management, the health and education, or the technical piece, the system piece.
Are they all part of the network that it was for Ghana?
Yes, all of these are in the Living Waters network, the Ghanaian, Living Waters for the World Ghana network. All these sites are. So what that allowed us to do is we don't have to be there for every install now, right? The Ghanaians can do it. The Ghanaians can put together their own teams that look like Idlewild, right? Idlewild will help fund it, but the Ghanaians can do it. And so during COVID, this one was done, that was done, that was done, that was done. These right here were done. Idlewild did this one, and Idlewild did that one, and the ones before that. So it's a great model. We don't have to be there; they can do them, and but the relationship is important, and we like going and helping, right? I did want to go back real quick. Important slide here. I'll just speak to it now. One of the reasons that Ghana's gone so well is that a lot of Living Waters teams that go other places in the world, like Cuba, you have to take every screw, piece of PVC pipe, pump, glue, everything. You have to take everything. If you get down to the end and you're missing a piece of PVC pipe about that long, the system's not going in. You can't get it in Cuba. Okay? Ghana has a tremendous advantage from the other networks in. We can get everything in Ghana. Jim and I spent with the Canadians probably 2 or 3 years figuring out where to get all these things, and then making the decision to not use the ozone to treat the bacteria, but to go with UV light. We can get UV light in Ghana, and at that point, the whole system is sourced from within Ghana. So we don't have to pack suitcases anymore of PVC pipe and pumps and all those things. It's a big deal. Ask Jim, right? It's a really big deal. So in terms of relationship, just a couple of things here. Relationship is very important. That is really what we're there for, is a relationship. And there's many aspects of the relationship. Right now, we've really moved into this shepherd role. We're helping them solve problems. I'll give you an example. We put a system in a girls' school in Kumasi, a senior high girls' school in Kumasi. First all-girls site we've ever done. Guess what? 20 liters of water weighs about 60 pounds or whatever it is. You know, a girls' school doesn't have a lot of people that can pick up a 20-liter bottle of water. So we're helping them solve problems like how do you move the water around, smaller bottles, carts, those kind of things, right? So we call that shepherding. We help fund, right? Idlewild helps funds, and then solve problems. So these are just some pictures. This is kind of what, this is kind of what it looks like in Ghana. It's very tropical, sub-Sahara. It's, here's the nice thing about when you travel there, you don't have to worry about weather. It's the same weather every day. It's the same temperature. It's the same amount of sunshine. It's a 12 hours of light, 12 hours of dark, right? It's very simple to pack for. And then you see some places where we've got, we're actually doing work there. This guy right here, Mike Lazema, he's a master plumber in Ghana. He's not part of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. He's a different denomination. He does this mission out of his heart. He loves the mission, right? He loves the mission. And then the last slide is this. I had to go digging for this, by the way. So look, Jim spoke to it, Chalmers spoke to it. Look, people always ask, how did we get started in it? And Gail really was the connection between the Living Waters mission and idea and the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. That got us started. This is where they are is the very first site. You see Buddy next. There's Buddy and Betty Ann with Michael. This site is the very first site. It's a Presbyterian Women's Center in a little community outside of Accra called Abokabi. It's very nice. It is an African destination for meetings in the center. It's got accommodations. It's got meeting halls, whatever. People from all over Africa come here to have meetings. This system serves somewhere between 14 and 17,000 people a year from all over Africa. They get exposure to living waters. This system's been in since 2006, and it's still going strong today. So, with that, what questions do we have? What would you like to know about Ghana, Living Waters, Idlewild and Living Waters? What would you like to know? Yes, Stephanie?
It's the same question I always ask when I hear where the systems are going. And you just said Ghana had this nice center, a building, all that, people coming in. How do they not have water? When we build here, water's the first thing. It's so mind-bending to me that
Yeah.
this is necessary.
I'll tell you, Stephanie. Here's what I would say. It is a chaotic approach to infrastructure. So you will see that the government has laid pipe to run water down the road. No watering pipe. Right? When did they do that? Oh, they did that about 12 years ago, right? You will see where the government water system is delivering water to it's the school's by the road, there's a pipe in the road, there's a pipe that goes to the school, and you say, why aren't you using that water? And they say, it's not safe. What do you mean it's not safe? I said, well, okay, let's get let's go up. We drive up the road 10 miles, we go to the water treatment center, and they say, there's the problem. You see all those bags out there? That's the chlorine and all those kind of things. Nobody's put that in the water in 2 months, right? Well, where's the guy that does that? Yeah, we don't know, right? And so, and actually, Stephanie, the most dangerous water there is the water that's coming from the government, because you don't know, right? They don't know, and so they just say, we won't drink it because we don't know. And so then what we'll do is we'll put our system on top of that, and then we'll treat it, and so on the other side of our system, they'll know that's treated water all the time. It's just, it's the chaos. Michael sees it in Honduras, so Michael, you might want to share about Honduras.
I will tell you for anybody who's spent any time in any of these developing countries, the minute you get off the plane, you realize, or you should realize, what we take for granted in this country. In Honduras, the Pan American Highway goes from Mexico down, all the way through Central America down to South America. In Honduras, there was a hurricane in 2007, Hurricane Mitch, that took out, it was literally the interstate highway, took it out over a river. So the bridge went out. That bridge wasn't repaired and back functioning. You literally had to get off the road, go to a little 2-lane metal bridge, it's a big river. 2-lane metal bridge, that bridge was back functioning in 2021. So for 14 years, the interstate highway was out. In Honduras, the network is 150 plus or minus systems. There's 2 major cities. Tegucigalpa is the capital, and San Pedro Sula is sort of the main industrial port. The network has technicians in each of those cities. There's a warehouse. What Steve was saying about adding in-country infrastructure to support the systems that are out there, that's very important. We recently did the Rotary Club. We've been involved in about 5 systems down there. We recently partnered with Woodland Press on a system that went into an orphanage and school, again, providing clean water to the most needy of the people within the communities. It's remarkable. One of the things that Steve and Chalmers didn't talk about, there's a covenant between the initiating partner, which in this case would be Idlewild Press, or for us, it would be Memphis Rotary Club, and an operating partner that's in country. The connection with the Presbyterian Church in Ghana is so huge in that they are a big organization with resources. We don't have that luxury in Honduras. We're connected with a small community that are trying to piecemeal an operating committee together, some of whom have experience with plumbing and those, some of them don't. But when a system is installed, it's very important that the people in country install the systems themselves, because when you leave, it's theirs. And part of the celebration at the end of the completion of the construction is literally a turning over of the system to the community, because it's theirs. And they've got to be able to fix it, if it breaks, because if it breaks, no water, right? So anyways, it's a remarkable ministry, and I love that we're connected with it. I'm embarrassed that we haven't, Melissa and I haven't been more closely connected with what we're doing at Idlewild, but anyways.
Well, Michael, we asked you, like, you want to go to Ghana, and you're like, oh, we're going to.
Yeah, I've been to Honduras, I guess, 10 times over since 2013.
So you're,
And literally, when you go from San Pedro Sula, which is literally the murder capital of the world, you find your guide, you get out. Most of the it is somewhat that, but we've got, skilled guides, but most of the places you go, when you check into the hotel, you're going into a compound, and there are guys with guns out front. It's a community of the haves and the have-nots, and you do need to be
So
careful.
Stephanie, although the Presbyterian Winter Center is very nice, they don't have access to government water where they are. It'd be like they'd be out in, like, I don't know, in the middle of nowhere east of Memphis, right, way past Fisherville or whatever. They just don't have access to government water. Their raw water source is a well. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is Kwame Praso. I think I've told a lot about people this before. Chalmers and I went there in 2018. This is a health clinic. It's really a maternity clinic. When we were doing the first couple of visits there to find out if it's an acceptable site, we were gathering information. I was like, hey, how many babies do you birth here? The guy kind of mumbled it, said, I kind of picked up 80. And I said, oh, okay, 80 a year. And then one of our Canadian friends said, Steve, he's saying 80 a month, right? Prahu Praso, Prahu Praso is a community right up next to what the Canadians call the hinterland. That'd be the jungle. Like, everything from there on out is nothing but, forestation, right? The women come out of the hinterland to this clinic either to have their baby, either after they've had their baby, or so forth, right? They had no access to treated water. Right? So we put a system in 2018. We just went back, this last trip, we just went back. This is pretty cool. They now know, because we asked them to start collecting data, they now know exactly how many women are coming there before the birth, after the birth, for the birth. And so when they break it up, the number's gone up. It's way over 100 now, right? And they also have been tracking the amount of medical issues that they've had with the mother and the baby because of lack of access to treated water. Their survival rate of babies is climbing. The most risky, and Chalmers sort of touched on it, it's the babies that are really at the highest risk in Ghana, because if they get some kind of a waterborne disease, and we all know what happens there, that they get dehydrated, and that's it, right? So this group, this clinic has actually started creating metrics. That's pretty cool to see, 3, 4, 5 years later. So,
And they're up to 150 babies a month.
Well, you just reminded me of why I wanted to get into this. I'm sure most of you know I'm a retired pediatrician. And I thought, well, what can I do with my pediatric background that would be helpful? Well, I could go out and get involved in giving immunizations, and that would be very, very beneficial. But I thought, if I can do something about access to safe water for children, that will make a huge difference. Not only that some of these children die, but others, after multiple times of dehydration, they just wind up brain damaged and still are alive. So, putting all that together, I decided this was a very worthy thing to do. I'm so glad I have. I also, in introducing Chalmers and Steve, had I been up here introducing them, I would have introduced them as an answer to my prayer.
So as Steve said, and we'll wrap up, we are starting to collect more data. One of our partners, who's our health educator over there, that's kind of in charge over there for health education, is she's also a biology teacher, and so she's very interested. This past time when we went in January, she's going to start really collecting hard data at all these different locations as to the health of these children and families and the improvement. The second thing, and this is just final thing to leave, when we were at Baja Praso, well, when we were at Baja Praso, the health clinic, there was a lady there who is my age, and she was in charge of cleaning the dishes and cleaning the bathrooms. And she had worked a very hard, laborious life. You could tell physically she looked, she had aged and she had had a hard physical life. Then her job changed, and several years ago she became the one in charge. We have someone at each location that's technically in charge of the water room, tracking the bottles, tracking the cleanliness, tracking how the water's doing, and you can tell literally she's drinking the water, because I saw her for the first time in 7 years And I could not believe it. She looked so much younger because she's drinking the water. And it was a miraculous thing to see. So I'll leave that and then let's see it close.
And we just got a couple of minutes left, and I would like to share just a couple of shepherd stories with you. So in 2018, when we did Quagga Prosso, we were like maniacal